Mic check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. What is up, my beautiful people? It's your girl Rosabelle, and welcome. For those of you who are new here, hit that subscribe button, the follow, the like, the share, wherever you see this, wherever you're listening to this. And welcome. Welcome to my mind. Welcome to my feelings. Welcome to my space. I'm in my element. I'm in a space where I like to kick my shoes off and put my feet up, put my robe on, take my pants off, because pants are dumb, and just kick back, relax. I want to unwind from my day, unfold, and unplug. Peace and blessings, everybody. How we feeling out there today? We're back with another podcast. More topics, more to love. It's April. Happy New Year. It's a new month. We stepped into spring finally.
Yeah, we did.
And it felt so damn good. And today is solar eclipse day. And we here in Ohio are in the path to totality this year.
We are.
So
Isn't
we
that
actually
cool?
get to see everything. And I heard there's going to be some planets involved as well. So
there's
I'm kind of
apparently a
excited
lot
to
going
see
on.
what we'll be able to see. Because we did get to watch a solar eclipse like years ago, but we weren't in the path.
No.
So it was very quick. It was very much so mostly daylight.
Yeah.
We didn't really get to see it how we're actually going to feel and experience it this time. So I'm super excited for that. And by the time you hear this, it will have already come and gone.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy to think about?
It is, just a little bit. Kind of like predicting time. That's the thing with these pre-recorded episodes.
Yeah. I hope that whoever is watching this got to experience however it's going to be. I mean, people, when I'm reading about it in the news, people say that like it's not something that you can really comprehend until you witness it.
Okay.
Which I'm like, okay. You know,
Right.
like when you hear something like that, it's kind of like, what the fuck does that mean? But I'm very excited to. I do know that there's lots of schools and businesses and government buildings and stuff.
People are traveling here. There's hella events in Cleveland.
Everything's shutting down.
So happy to be taking a half day on this day because
me too.
I should have had the idea to take the full day off. However, I'm sure that the day has gone well. I'm sure it's been a great day and I'm out of there and I got out of there on time. But yeah, definitely should have taken it off.
yeah, because I'm, and they're, well, just like full disclosure, we're recording this previous to that by kind of a lot. And there's people like, government agencies posting on Facebook and other social medias and news outlets saying that we should, make sure we have food in the fridge and we stock up on fuel and we.
I know, because they're expecting like
a lot of visitors.
They're expecting a lot of visitors.
Yeah.
A lot of visitors. I'm just like, well, I mean, how long are they gonna visit for?
Right, it's only like 5 minutes, isn't it?
Stocking up. I don't know how long it's gonna be really. I just know that I'm hoping I'm gonna be off and home and able to just be here, sit and look in my own house. Like that's it.
Well, I know, like some of the people who work for the sheriff's department, who typically work in other areas of the sheriff's department, will be working patrol that day.
Oh yeah. We're gonna need it all.
Yeah, just kind of out and about and patrolling the area. So I just said to them, if you happen to see me out on the street, just make sure you mind your business.
That's it, mind your business. What are we talking about today? We're talking about minding our business. We're talking about
knowing ourselves today, baby.
Yes, knowing ourselves. What does knowing yourself even mean?
Well, I think it could mean a lot of things, up for interpretation. Everybody's concept of self is going to be different. What they think is important versus what they think is not. One thing that one person thinks is like super important, another person may not have even considered before.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what makes us different people.
Yeah.
What is your definition of knowing yourself? Like, what do you feel that it is? Your perception, I should say.
I think it starts with a person's like values and morality.
Okay.
Right? So, like when I used to teach the class on the drug and alcohol class, one of the things that we would talk about is self assessment, right? Because we eventually talk about goals. But before we talk about goals, I think it's really important that we get to know ourselves so that we know what our goals are.
Okay.
Right? So, like, one homework assignment I would give out to every group is
Y'all hear that? Y'all got homework.
is I would ask them what their like ultimate goal in life is. And like I wouldn't just say that. I would frame it like this. I would say, so I want you to imagine it's, X amount of years from now, and you're laying on your deathbed, and you're looking back at your life. What do you think is the one thing that you would say, you know what, I don't think I'm done with that? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, or you could even frame it as like, imagine you're on your deathbed right now. What would you look at your life and say, I wish I had spent more time on this one thing, or, put more energy into, or money or whatever into this, and I get so many answers. And I think it's really cool to hear the difference between them.
Okay.
So like a lot of the answers that I get, surprisingly, are like people talking about the way that they're going to leave their legacy. So like, remember, I'm talking,
legacy is big.
Yeah, I'm talking about people who struggle with substances. So a lot of them, their life goal will be a way to tell their story in a way that helps other people not have to kind of go through the things that they've been through in life. Like I had one guy, I think he said he was from, I want to say like Cleveland, East Cleveland or something like that, right? And he said that he wanted to write a book about his life and all the struggles that he's been through. I mean, and I read pieces of his book and it was really good. About he grew up in like gangs and in that kind of a lifestyle with guns and stuff when he was barely a teenager and dealing drugs and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And he said, he wanted to write it from the perspective of like, this is why at the time I thought these things were important to me.
Okay.
But now I know better. Like
okay.
In a way where he's like teaching other people to not make the mistakes that he feels he made in life.
A little bit of self-reflection in there too.
Right. So like that's the legacy he wanted to leave. I had lots of people who would say like, I didn't spend enough time with my kids or my parents or my, whatever. I had some people say they didn't make enough money in their life. Like I wanted to be able to leave a house for my family or a car or a stock or a fund or something or other. I had a lot of people say like, I didn't smile enough.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
Right? So it really is like person to person. And I would literally give them like little half sheets of paper and they'd fill it out, they'd bring it in, and then they'd hand it in to me, and then I would ask them to share because I didn't want other people's answers to influence their answers. Because
right. Yeah. Because it can very easily.
Right. Because
you want it to be authentic.
And what makes us so special is our different perspectives in life. And that is a true perspective of life, if you ask me.
It is, yep.
So here's my question to you. If you were on your deathbed right now and you looked back at your life, what's the one thing, and you can only pick one, that you would say, I wish I had like spent more time or energy or whatever on this? I've thought about this long and hard. And it's hard to pick one thing.
Currently?
I know, right?
I don't know. Maybe that's just me now. I feel like I wish I spent more time and energy loving on people.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I love on people, but I also feel like I neglect people too. So
yeah. Like people as a whole, or is it a specific person or group of people?
Not specific person. as far as group of people, I mean, I don't know. People that I love, I don't know.
Like close friends and family, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say I
Close
hear that
friends,
a
first
lot.
tier, close friends, maybe second, maybe a little bit of those third ones.
Yeah.
And I don't know, y'all can't see me, but
She's
first tier
drawing
is
circles.
that inner circle, right? And then yeah, I'm drawing circles around it, kind of like an orbit. But I mean, that's how you, at least for me, that's how I keep people.
Mm-hmm.
Like my family, my wife, my son, they're in my inner circle. My parents might be in that inner, might be in the one that's right around it with like my siblings, my nieces, but that's how I
Prioritize.
prioritize people.
Yeah. I get
Uh,
that. I think that a lot of people say that, and I would probably agree with you. Like, I would be, if I was dying today, I would be more sad for the people around me than for myself.
mm-hmm.
Like, I would never want our son to grow up thinking, like, oh, I missed out on these experiences with mommy.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would never want you to think, oh, I could never remarry because Samantha will fucking haunt her. Because I will. Or like, my mom would be really sad, or stuff like that, I wouldn't want that for people. But also, I think about like the number of clients that I talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And like, let's say I died today, like I'm missing what, like 20 years in the workforce?
Mm-hmm.
How many clients is that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many lives could I have impacted
Mm-hmm.
if I died? That's kind of how I think about it. Or even just people in daily life, the clients that I walk by that I don't really actually talk to,
Mm-hmm.
but I just like smile at them. And maybe it makes their day a little better.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Stuff like that. That's the kind of thing that I think about. But the reason that I do that assignment is because it directly reflects what you subconsciously value.
Yeah.
Right? So like the people who are saying like, oh, I'd leave a fund for my family, subconsciously they value money,
mm-hmm.
And they value family, and they value success. They want their family to be successful.
Right. Yeah.
So from what I feel, I would say that my value is how I impact others.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not worried about me dying. I'm worrying about how that impacts others. And from what you're saying, I would say that you value your relationship with whoever you're connected to,
mm-hmm.
Your friends, your family, and the people in, as you said, your inner circles. That's why I do that assignment with people. That's
a good assignment.
And we do have like a checklist, which I've been trying to find.
Okay.
But it's a checklist of like 30 values or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people they can pick 10. And they pick whatever 10 are most important to them. Off the top of my head, some of them are like love, relationships, fame, wealth, success, organization, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Right? And I only let people pick 10, although some people might pick all of them.
Right.
Friendships are in there. I believe like romantic partners are in there. But it kind of cuts down to the wire sometimes, because a lot of times when people are doing that assignment in the classroom, mm-hmm. like they'll get down to, only 2 selections left or 1 selection left, and they'll have to choose between 2 things that are actually really important to them. Like, they have to choose between friends and family.
Right.
Or success and wealth. Yeah. But truthfully and honestly, that's how life is sometimes.
It is. 100%.
Yeah. Like you can even put the podcast as a perfect example. Mm-hmm. Maybe not so much us, but some podcasts or YouTube channels or other social medias. Like when people start getting big, mm-hmm. they do choose between things like wealth and success.
Right.
Like if they advertise something that they don't truly believe in to their fan base,
right,
and their fan base finds out, they're choosing wealth over success.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's how life truly is. So that's why we do that assignment. And that's what I think about values. We all have them.
We all have values. That's true.
And that's what makes us unique people. you know, whereas one person may really value friendship. I can tell you that's at the bottom of my list, you know, and for a lot of people, it's at the top. It doesn't make us better or worse than the other person. It's just different.
Yep.
You know, like, do I love my friends? For sure. Are they the most important thing to me? Not like at all.
That's fair.
So that's how we talk about values in my group. What do you like to talk about with values?
I don't know. I do think that I do appreciate having the conversations with my friends, normal conversations. Like, well, I guess it's normal to me. It might not be normal to everybody, but I like having regular conversations about us, our values, you know, our priorities, making sure that you kind of stay true to you and like what you really want. Um, that's been pretty big lately. You know, being more like present, doing regular check-ins, trying to detox from regular life. Um, you know, maybe if somebody is like work is a high stressor, you know, instead of, oh hey, how was work today? You know, oh hey, you know, let's talk about some other things. Let's decompress in some other ways, you know. How is this going for you? You know, how are you working through this instead of like discussing those big ones, because those normal like check-ins and decompressions are necessary too. So I guess it's some of the things that I value and like look forward to.
Yeah. Well, and on the flip side, which I think is very interesting that you brought it up this way, is the things that we value are also going to be the things that we put the most stress on ourselves about.
Could be, yeah.
You know,
because we value them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, in a way, sometimes you need a little bit of a break from it, which is what you're talking about. And I think that's awesome because, you know, like, for example, I am a very like high value in where I work. You know, I would say that my job is stressful. However, it's literally the reason I wake up in the morning. I love it, you know. However, it's stressful. You know, so it's nice to come home and vent about work for 10, 20 minutes and then not think about it anymore. You know what I mean? And so I see where you're coming from. I think it's important to not only, you know, set our values, know our values, but also take a break from our values. You know, from anything that's stressing us out. You know,
it's fair. Yeah,
if you
gotta
think
take a
about
break
it,
from stress.
You think about it all the time, you're gonna make yourself mad.
Oh yeah, no, definitely ain't letting nothing like that live and run rent free in my head. Okay. Definitely, it's definitely tough, but it feels so much better when you just learn or find a way to step away.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of like art. Like if you think about art, because I know you're really into like painting and stuff. But there are also times when you start a painting or something, and then you stop it like right in the middle of it,
and it could be months.
Yeah, for a long time,
years even before I get back to it, and that's because I know about it. That was like because
that was like an aha.
Happens. It does.
Yeah, because if you step away from it and come back to it, you come back to it with kind of a fresh mind, a new way to think about things. You know, so maybe let's say I'm really stressed out about a specific thing at work. I go home, I decompress, and then I let it go for several hours. Come back in the morning with a fresh mind. I might think of it a totally different way to approach it, or or even just like more energy and motivation to approach it.
Because that's also that. Yeah. Like some of the reasons I put the paintings down, the motivation, like the energy behind it. Like maybe I'm not in that same vibe that I was when I started it, and it's hard for me to finish it because I'm not in that vibe.
Right.
It reminds me of like writer's block, or kind of like a type of block where you're a professional, you know, and you just get that block, that creative block. That's what happens, and it's weird how it happens right at the beginning of a painting or right in the middle of a painting.
You never know.
Like, damn, like now you don't finish it. Now you're stepping away. But the comeback is nice because when you come back, you be like, right back in that right headspace, and it just floats.
You know, I was talking today to a client about journaling as like a coping skill, right? And I have like a journaling challenge for my clients.
Yep.
Where they right now have 3 months worth of journaling. Ooh. And each day is a different prompt that they can write about.
Okay.
Today is the third day of my challenge. I can't remember what today's prompt was, but first day was what are you grateful for, and the second day was what makes other people happy. Ooh. So my guys were journaling, about those things yesterday and the day before. And when I was explaining it to them and why it's important to journal, the way that I explain it to them is I'll say, journaling, of course, gives you an opportunity to like get things off of your chest and to kind of like vent about things. I said, but here's the other thing that journaling kind of does for you is it teaches you to think about the way that you're thinking.
Yes.
And this is how. Because if you have, let's say, 3 months worth of journaling, you completed it all. It doesn't even have to be super, super detailed, even if it's just a few sentences, a few paragraphs, enough that you understand it. I don't care if you draw a picture in response to the article. Just, something that's going to be detailed and you're going to know what it means in the future, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we have 3 months of that. Let's say we completed. 3 months from now, you go back and you look at an article that you wrote about something that you were super mad about. How are you going to feel about it in 3 months?
I'm probably going to look back at it and be like, dang, I was super pissed, but glad I got through that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Or I'll explain it to them.
Or you may actually really feel that entire moment
in
its entirety while you're reading it.
Or I'll explain them in the way of like, think about you 5 years ago or 10 years ago even, right?
10 years ago.
Yeah. And what was like so important to you at that time? Like
graduating college.
Yeah, or like one thing that you had to have every day.
No, I'm just talking mess. I wasn't graduating college
yet. Is that something that's important to you now? Or if it's an item, is it a thing that you even own anymore or think about anymore?
Let's see, what year is this? 2014? Let's think about that. Let's just go back and look at that question. What was I doing in 2014?
What were you doing? Well, you were still at Subway, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were working at Subway.
Almost moving, if not. Actually, I went to U-Haul that year. I started working at U-Haul that year. But
we're in April.
If we're talking about April, then in April I was just in college, I think, working at Subway. I'm trying to think if I was working at the flagpole or not yet. I don't think I was.
Okay.
I think I just had one job and full-time in school trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do.
So let's say
in a crazy relationship.
Let's say April 2014, you wake up in the morning at your parents' house, I'm assuming, right?
Maybe. But yeah, we'll assume.
You wake up in the morning, what's the one thing that you're like, I got to do this now? Or the one thing that you're like, this is mine, I have to have it?
By that point in my life?
Yeah.
I might have to rewind a few years, because by that point in my life, I'm just like, all right, let's get through school.
Okay, so school is a priority, right? So you're probably thinking like, I got to have my book bag or my computer or my whatever, right?
Yeah, mostly make sure I got my zip card, because
your zip card.
Lovely that we can just be in the computer lab all day. And during that time, I was taking classes like CNC classes.
So you needed your zip card
I
every
needed
day.
My zip card every day.
Every day.
Yep.
When's the last time you touched your zip card?
I don't actually use it anymore because I finally pulled it out of my wallet and retired it. So
the things that were important to us 5-10 years ago are no longer important to us.
Yeah, once they cancel my email address, I'm like, well,
shut up.
I definitely ain't gonna be able to get into no events with this zip card.
And remember, I'm working with incarcerated people, so their life is changing more rapidly. So the things that were important to them 3 months ago, they probably don't own anymore.
Nope.
And they probably are never going to see again.
That's true.
But they've made it through 3 months without seeing it, touching it, probably even thinking about it.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not thinking about it at all.
So this is how I kind of frame journaling to them. You at one point in your life thought you needed to carry a zip card with you at all times or else.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I haven't touched it in probably years.
Now I don't have to ride the bus for free. I can just drive.
You know, and like another way that I kind of frame it to people is like, how many people do you know who say they wake up in the morning and they have to have like a cup of coffee or a cup of tea? And they all come into jail, or like they have to have their phone. And then they come into jail.
Definitely the phone.
And they don't have any of those things, at least for several days before they get their commissary in that. And a lot of my clients will be like, yeah, a lot of people in there are feeling that way. And I'll say, yeah, and did any of them die?
Nope. Not did you die. Please don't use
that. I do. I absolutely do. Did you die? Did you die? You went without coffee for like a whole week. Did you die?
No.
Because I wake up every single morning like, how am I going to get my caffeine this morning? Am I going to Starbucks? Am I making my own tea? Should I have some coffee? Like... You know,
to me, I haven't been to Starbucks in a while. I still got money in my Starbucks app.
It's a priority, though, right?
It is.
What about? I can't go to work without a drink.
Nope.
You know,
you know those feelings.
It's the way that we think about our thinking, and as we grow and over time, we value different things.
We do. We do change. Yep.
Like 4 years ago, you didn't value your son. He didn't exist.
No, he didn't exist, so I couldn't value him.
Exactly. You know, and over time, we value people at different levels. You know, 10 years ago, you probably had some people in your circle that you absolutely don't have today. You know, and vice versa.
Range. Yep, nope, they'd be way far out of my circle if they even still in a part of the circle. Yep.
Yep. So it's all about values. It's all about perspective.
It is about perspective. You can never get away from perspective.
We will never get away from perspective. It's the backbone of my entire life.
That perspective, I mean, as we continue to see with this pattern, this perspective really matters. It matters in it really like plays a role in how your day-to-day outcomes are. You know, I mean, no, you can't control everything. I mean, that's fine. But you can control you. You can control your attitude, and you can control how you look at the situations,
and most importantly,
your situations,
the way that you act. You know, a lot of times when I'm talking to clients, I'm like, listen, you cannot always control what you're thinking about or the thoughts that are going to pop into your head, but you can control the ones that you're going to say out loud, the ones that you're going to act upon. And also the ones that you choose to spend time on.
That's fair. Yeah, we can.
You know, you can totally have a thought pop into your head and say to yourself, I don't want to focus on that one right now. I'm going to think about kittens.
Kittens out of all things. Okay, I'm following. I'm tracking.
You can think about literally anything you want. My example is usually kittens or cute pigs.
Them damn cute pigs.
But baby pigs. So, I mean, but I have that conversation a lot with clients, like, for example, who have homicidal or suicidal thoughts. You know, I have thoughts of, you know, harming myself or others. Okay, so what are you going to do with those thoughts? Because the fact of the matter is, I don't think I know a single person in the whole world who has never had a thought of hurting themselves or someone else.
Right.
But what do you do with it? That's important. You can think about killing somebody all day. You're not getting in trouble until you do it.
Right. Yeah. Ain't no crying now. Ain't no singing now. Honey. You done did it. You gotta do your time.
Honey. You'll be seeing me.
So knowing yourself is pretty essential. Like you do need to know yourself. I feel like knowing yourself, you are like what am I trying to say? You are the center. This is where it starts. You are the center of getting to where you want to be. And you need to know yourself really for real before anything else can fall in line. You got to know yourself. That's the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
Yeah. And not only that, but you need to know the people around you too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you know that someone around you values something particularly, then you will know the best way to relate to them, to communicate with them, and to assist them, when they do need help.
Thanks for rocking out for another episode. Don't forget that you are worthy. You will always be worthy. Don't let anybody tell you that you ain't worthy, because, as you know, you can do anything that you put your mind to.
Okay, love you. Bye.